As if a stay-at-home mom has any right to speak. You think you can live off someone else's earnings? My husband started treating me harshly once he realized I wasn't contributing financially. I do all the housework and child rearing, but that's not what he values. I'm Emily. I'm currently unemployed to take care of our 1-year-old son. In other words, I'm a housewife. Originally, I was a nurse. After graduating from college, I started working at my father's hospital under the same conditions as other new graduates. It was a demanding job but fulfilling. Receiving gratitude from patients was always a joy. I advanced in my career, but my love life was a different story. I had a major gynecological illness in my early 20s, making it difficult for me to have children. Plus, men shied away once they learned my father was the hospital director. I had given up on marriage, was past 30, and was working even harder when I met Jason. He was a mid-career hire as an office worker. We got acquainted at a work welcome party, went on a few dates, and he asked me out. As adults, we naturally became intimate, and miraculously, I got pregnant. Being told I couldn't have children, I was overjoyed and in tears. Jason and I married, buying a house together with our savings. I thought I had grasped a happy life I had given up on, but things changed quickly after the wedding. Early in the newlywed period. After work, we came home and were eating dinner together when Jason made a shocking revelation. He had been in a bad mood all day. I was also paying mind to him without understanding why. I myself was suffering from severe morning sickness and wasn't feeling very well. Wait, you knew I was the director's daughter before we started dating? Well, I'm an office worker of the hospital. I had never openly said I was the director's daughter. In fact, I kept it a secret. But you acted surprised when I talked about my parents. That was all an act. Just pretended to be shocked. Jason admitted he accessed confidential personnel files using his office privileges. Turns out, I drew the short straw. There's no benefit in marrying you. Jason had believed that marrying me would lead to a salary increase or a promotion. But despite waiting, nothing changed. Today, he confronted my father, the director. But reality is harsh. My father is still active, and my brother is his successor. My brother was treated like any other doctor. My father is a firm believer in meritocracy. Although Jason has become a son-in-law, he has yet to achieve anything. My father would not suddenly give preferential treatment to such a single, mid-career clerk. Looks like the director doesn't care about his daughter. No plans to favor his son-in-law. Don't tell me you married me for that reason? I never imagined Jason to be so power-hungry. I hoped he was just drunk and slipping up, but it was chilling. Thoughts of divorce crossed my mind. What else is there? I did you a favor by marrying an old maid like you. I deserve some perks. Hey. I need more booze. And bring me an ashtray. Jason, getting irritated, reached for a cigarette. Stop that. You promised to quit smoking. I am pregnant, after all. If he must smoke, at least do it outside. What? You're just being dramatic. That's just stuff they say on TV and in magazines. I want to smoke whether you're pregnant or not. If you hate it so much, why don't you just go outside? That's awful. Don't you realize your child is in my belly? Yeah, well, that's true. So, how about this? It's prenatal education. Since it's my kid, he'll probably smoke someday. Consider it early learning, Jason said, laughing. Are you serious? This joke was in extremely poor taste. But I wasn't about to back down quietly. Stop joking around. If you're going to smoke, go outside. I was resolute, pointing towards the door. Jason, perhaps pushed by my power, said, as expected of a young and powerful woman who became head nurse, "You have a strong spirit," and walked out without further comment. The next day, Jason casually said, "Sorry about yesterday, I drank too much and said things I didn't mean. I'll forgive you this time, but please, quit smoking. It's harmful to the fetus, and I'm worried about your health too." Yeah, I got it. I'll be careful. Honestly, I was quite troubled by Jason's behavior yesterday, but I still love him, and he is the father of my child. I figured he just lashed out in frustration after being seen through by the director for his ulterior motives. So, I decided to tolerate it. Time passed, and I gave birth. My long-awaited child could not be born in perfectly good health. It was discovered that he had a congenital respiratory disease. I cried many times, feeling sorry for my son. But I decided to cherish him, grateful he was born to us. Fortunately, his condition was operable and could be cured with surgery. Due to the need for regular hospital visits, I resigned from my job. I dedicated myself to caring for our son and preparing for everything. But Jason was strongly against it. He pressured me to return to work. "Hey, why did you quit your job? Don't joke about being a stay-at-home mom. You're just planning to mooch off my earnings and laze around, aren't you?" I couldn't understand how he could think caring for our son equated to playing around. That's not true at all. I'm obviously going to care for our son. Why don't you just admit him to the pediatric ward of our hospital? It's your family's hospital. They can handle it. Listen, he's your son and mine. If he can stay at home, that's what we should let him do. Because of that, I'm having a hard time. We still have a mortgage to pay. And I can't even smoke in my own house. But he has a respiratory illness. You must realize that secondhand smoke is dangerous for him. That's not my problem. It's your fault for not giving birth to a healthy child. You are the worst. The rift between Jason and me kept deepening. Yet, I couldn't think about divorce right away because I was too occupied with caring for our son. My love for Jason had completely vanished, but I didn't want to expend energy on unnecessary matters. Then, one early Sunday morning, my son threw a fit, and I rushed him to the emergency department of my father's hospital. By the time we returned home, it was already evening. Exhausted from crying, my son had fallen asleep in the car. As I quietly entered the house, trying not to wake him, I found Jason asleep in the living room. Apparently, he had passed out from drinking. It reeks of cigarettes. There were several empty cans of beer and hard seltzer around. He might have been drinking alone in the living room, taking advantage of our absence. I immediately took my son to the bedroom. I activated the air purifier to full power and made sure he was sleeping soundly. I can't allow that to happen. I was so angry. Jason only thought about himself. This time, my patience had completely run out. As I approached to wake him up, I noticed, the cigarettes still lit. A cigarette that was still burning had fallen from the ashtray onto some nearby tissues and started a fire. Dangerous. I instinctively opened my son's water bottle. It was more than half full. I doused the flames with the water inside. The fire hadn't spread far, so it was quickly extinguished. One wrong step and it could have been a disaster. I poured the remaining water all over Jason, who was still snoring loudly. Wetting the table and carpet didn't matter anymore, as cleaning up would be just a bit more work. What the heck? That's cold. What are you doing? Jason jolted awake. It took him a moment to grasp the situation, but seeing me with the water bottle, he realized he'd been woken up with water. Don't mess with me. Who do you think you are, a stay-at-home mom living off my earnings? His anger flared up like a rapid boil kettle. Silently, I pointed to the ashtray. What? What's that? Oh, was it about to catch fire? Well, everyone makes mistakes, right? You put it out, so it's fine. Jason never apologizes. Let's get a divorce. I had made my decision. This man was no good. Hey, stop joking. This is such an overreaction. You're a stay-at-home mom, right? If I don't earn, we can't live, can we? Jason started to panic, but he still didn't get it. Look, just because I'm a stay-at-home mom, which you love to point out, doesn't mean I can't work. I'm a nurse. I could go back anytime, but I choose not to for our son's sake. You don't help with our son's care, in fact, you're more harmful than helpful. Who needs a man like that? Our son's illness is not an overreaction. It's about our son's life. It was just a break, smoking a cigarette. You don't have to be so harsh about it. Jason still refused to admit his faults, grumbling on. You're usually much harsher. If your logic about stay-at-home moms holds, who do you think enables you to go to work? You never did any housework, even when I was working. I'm handling all the caregiving and housework alone. You just go to work, which must be so much easier for you. Oh right, you're just an office worker. I always earned more than you. That's why you hated me becoming a stay-at-home mom, right? Because it meant less money to spend. As I laid it all out, Jason was taken aback. Also, you keep saying you're the house owner. Our house is jointly owned, remember? I'm a homeowner too. I have just as much right to have a say as you do. For now, I can't even stand to look at you, so can you leave for today? I defeated Jason in the argument and kicked him out. And so, we got divorced. A nurse colleague of mine, who had been divorced, always told me, when you divorce, make sure to get a lump sum for alimony and child support. Remembering her words, I sold the house. It was originally bought with both mine and Jason's savings, but I no longer wanted to live there. I decided it was better to convert it into money, taking back my share of the savings we used for the house purchase, along with the alimony and child support, all in one go. Cutting ties completely was truly for the best. Jason apparently planned to stay at his current job even after our divorce. He had quite the nerve. But he became the subject of gossip, so he was irritated, and one day, he smoked in a non-smoking area. Then, the fire alarm went off. Fire trucks were dispatched, and the police arrived, making it a matter for the newspapers. Jason found himself unable to stay at his job and had to resign voluntarily. According to information from my in-laws, there was nowhere willing to hire a troublemaker like Jason. Jobless and without money for cigarettes, he was forced into an involuntary state of quitting smoking. He's apparently suffering from nicotine withdrawal symptoms. Though I divorced Jason, I maintained a reasonably good relationship with my in-laws. That's because, compared to Jason, they were normal and sensible people. I couldn't understand how they could have a son like him. During the divorce, my in-laws listened to both Jason's and my side of the story, concluded Jason was at fault, and apologized to me and my family. Afterwards, considering their son's actions, they decided not to provide any assistance to him, deeming it his own doing. Jason, having expected help from his parents, was left struggling in poverty. Serves him right. My in-laws continue to adore their grandson, sending gifts for his birthday and other occasions. I occasionally visit them and stay in touch through messages. Recently, my son had surgery, which was successfully completed. When he woke up from the anesthesia and faintly smiled, I felt a profound sense of happiness. I was able to protect his precious life. His recovery is going well, which is a huge relief. I've decided to return to work once my son fully recovers. This experience has renewed my appreciation for the nobility of saving lives. When a family member is sick and anxious, I can be there as a nurse for both the patient and their family. I split up with Jason and my son is now healthy. I am starting a new and happier life.